Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all are having a good day. I was until some very unfortunate news came out, and this is something I was afraid was going to happen. I was, however, preparing for this news to actually take place. Just for some context or a background, the political scene in Hollywood is very much left-leaning, and, that's not a problem. Everybody can have their own political views, but it becomes a problem when differing political views cause somebody to lose their job. Now, most celebrities in the Hollywood scene or in big business acting are libertarian. However, there are some actors and actresses that are conservative, one of those being Gina Carano. And today it came out that Disney had fired Gina Carano. And if you don't know about Gina Carano, she has been kind of under the microscope ever since she was cast as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian by, let's say, woke-skulled SJWs. I know that's an overused term, but it's kind of the generalized stereotype I'm going for here. And she fell under scrutiny under these types of people because she posted at the beginning of the pandemic some anti-mask memes and other things, which again, like freedom of speech, there's no problem with that. And every time they called for her to be fired, Disney and The Mandalorian stood by her. And when I say stood by her, they didn't outright defend her, but they just didn't take action on firing her because, that's a very unreasonable thing to do, is fire somebody for stating their opinions on the internet. So they stood by her time and time again, and she has always posted memes that are a little more like, they stir up a conversation, they're more conservative related, and that is not a problem. That's one thing I really want to get by, is posting political memes in favor of a certain party is not wrong. She posted something last night on her Instagram story and later took it down, and it was this picture. Just to read out what it says, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people don't realize that to get the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating somebody for their political views? And the picture below is of what I presume to be a Jewish woman being chased by, it looks like, Gestapo, and it is not a very pleasing picture to look at. It's very disturbing. Now, one thing that people need to realize about Gina Carano's online posts is there's always a deeper intellectual sort of meaning to the post. There's no problem with that. And one problem with these woke-skulled people, these spurgs on Twitter, is that the only way you can deduce something offensive from this post that Gina Carano has made is if you are either, one, looking for something to get mad at or something to trigger yourself, or two, you just you're misinformed and you're not really reading into the post. You just kind of breezed over it, because when breezing over it, it can kind of look like, oh wow, she's kind of comparing American politics to what happened in the Holocaust. And while that is a very harsh comparison, you have to look at the deeper meaning by what that says. Now, before I get into what that deeper meaning, or at least what I interpreted that deeper meaning was, it's just very inappropriate, frankly, to fire her over something that she posted like this when she's always been posting stuff at the equivalent level. And the other thing, I'm gonna restate this, she's always had, you kind of have to think when you read her posts. And the problem with these SJW people is they are so hell-bent on taking her down. And that's one thing that really bothers me, is ever since she was cast in The Mandalorian, these people have always kind of been opposed. They've always tried to run this smear campaign on getting Disney to fire her. And it really makes me sad to see that Disney finally bent the knee. Thankfully, I have canceled my Disney Plus subscription. I did after The Mandalorian Season 2 ended. I don't plan on renewing it anytime soon, despite WandaVision being out and all these other interesting shows, what it looks like, that are coming on. After this happened, I just honestly don't think I can follow through with renewing my Disney Plus subscription, just because seeing Disney kind of show weakness like this, it just really disturbs me, because it is going to pave a way for more dangerous censorship. And the reason I say that is because these people on Twitter are going to finally see that Disney listened to them, and they are going to feel empowered by that. And then they're going to start doing it more to other people. For example, Chris Pratt has been under the microscope as well recently, as some of you may know. Who knows? Some people might try, like, for the third time, try and get him fired. And it would be very, very concerning if Disney follows through with that. But just, I see this as a gateway. Now, to talk a little bit about the meaning behind her post, if anything to argue as devil's advocate against her, you can say it's a little over the top in extremity how she compared American politics to the Holocaust, but that's only taking that at face value. You have to look at the deeper meaning. So what she's talking about is this whole smear campaign by the mainstream media of the other. And the other is liberal versus conservative, and how people who are very left-leaning start demonizing people on the right. And to be fair, there's people, hardcore right-wingers, that smear and demonize people on the left. And it is just very concerning. And what she's trying to get across is this whole idea that before World War II broke out, before Hitler came into power, the Jews were blamed for the collapse of Germany's economic sphere, because Germany had to compensate for the war damages after World War I. And the reason what happened was the Jews were blamed on small little things. Like, Jews would get blamed for more and more extreme events until Hitler, after conditioning the German people to kind of believe that the Jews and these other minorities were the root of all evil, it was easier for him to sway them, so that when the time came for the Nazis to completely round up all these Jewish people and cart them off over to the camps and everything, the German people were conditioned to believe that was normal. And so what Gina Carano, the deeper meaning that I'm interpreting in that post, is the mainstream media is kind of ingraining this idea that a certain political belief is not normal and that it isn't the right way to think. And the more that's ingrained into people's minds, it's going to turn people against each other. It's very prominent because this country is it's a time where this country is very divided already, especially after the riots at the Capitol. The mainstream media is definitely trying to sort of pinpoint those people that were at the riots as conservatives and right-wingers, when really, if anything, they were a small faction of far-leaning right people. That doesn't represent conservative values, just like how these hardcore Antifa, SJW leftists do not represent democratic values. And that's something that I really want to get across. Is it's just really sad to see how these big companies are really pandering to a certain political side instead of just staying out of it, because it's just gonna bring ways for more political and opinionated oppression, and freedom of speech is at risk, and I'm just very concerned for that. And it honestly just really makes me sad, because Gina Carano was definitely a person who was in The Mandalorian that I really liked, not only as an actress but as a person, because I saw her in interviews and she's very authentic, she's very loving, she's very caring. And to see somebody like that not only get publicly smeared but thrown under the bus by the people who she was employed by, it just really makes me sad. And I really hope that Disney at some point reconsiders their decision and goes back, because I think, especially for the post, that I'm gonna say it was taken out of context. That's just my opinion, but I think it was taken out of context. To see her get fired over something like that just really concerns me. And it, I guess, should serve as a warning sign that this might happen to other, even more mainstream actors in the future. This whole idea of falsely accusing and canceling people. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for today. I know today wasn't that much of a funny, lighthearted topic. I will be back next week with more exciting topics. Hopefully the news has been kind of dry lately. I will have my podcast coming out on Sunday again, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to be kind, unlike Ellen DeGeneres, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.